Welcome back. One of the truly encouraging things for me that has happened is, as you know, in trying to assess the significance of supernova 1987A, which is the eye in the sky, we have spent a lot of time because its impact on the Earth is going to be significant. The scientists have told us that this gas which formed these rings occurred about 166,000 years ago, and that the star that produced it exploded, and that the remnants are going to cause the center eye to go on fire, and that this fire light will cause an impact on the Earth between now and around 2000, 2002. So it's significant, and it is following up on things that were written thousands of years ago to say, you know, this is really true. Well, in working with this, we were able to connect this as the pineal gland of the brain, the single eye. And then we were able to connect it to the fornix of the brain, the furnace, and the fornax of the constellation fornax in the sky. And one of the things that I was trying to do is connect it to 4555. Which is a galaxy in the constellation Coma, where, you know, I had little doubt that this is where the people who live who are going. You know, this 4555 is so significant that I am encouraged to tell you that people that you have in your family who have died are there. Now I know that's very difficult for you to, but this is how close we could be to a contact. Now, you know that stuff is kind of far out stuff. I understand that, but you know, I said it once, I won't repeat it again. But it's really an interesting concept of what this is all about. But 2 days after we made the connection to 4555, I was working at my job, as you know, and one of my jobs this year is to make sure that all of my company's towers sites are registered properly with the Federal Aviation Administration. And one of the engineers came over to me and said, you know, you were the manager in Brick Township for 22 years. I says, yeah. He says, would you look at their tower registration with the FAA? I said, yeah. And I looked at it and I said, why did you show this to me? He said, well, you know, I just wanted you to see this. When I looked at it, I saw the coordinates of the tower where I had worked for 22 years were 45, 55.
Latitude and longitude.
Well, not just latitude. And to me, I was looking for a confirmation that what I was doing was correct. And what I wanted to show you is my responsibilities for all of these towers and so forth. I wanted to just show you the latitudes and just show you why this is so significant when you think of this. This was the one. This was the one that became 4555. Is the one that I had for 20. Just listen to this. These are the latitudes of the towers that I have responsibility for. Sacramento, California, 38, 34, 28. Jersey City, 40, 42, 36. Lower Merion, Pennsylvania, 41, 0. North Arlington, 40, 52. Gloucester, 49, 21. Trenton, 40, 14, 8. Hightstown, 40, 15, 36. Eatontown, 40, 17, 43. Freehold, 40, 16, 56. Keensburg, 40, 26, 8. Burlington, 42, 15. Philadelphia, 42, 29. Cherry Hill, 39, 53, 17. Woodbridge, 40, 32, 0. Verona, 40, 55. And the one that I had for 22 years, 45, 55. I mean, do you realize there's not another one anywhere in the country that's 4555? The only one in the United States that's 4555 is the one that I had for 22 years. So when you're looking for confirmation from an intelligence that this is right, and there's a picture of 4555 right on the wall, a picture of 4555. So I know it's not a coincidence. And yet, how do I, you and I, you've been coming here and you've gone through this with me and you've held with me and we've talked through these things and I've given you documentation. I've never said anything to you that I didn't offer you scientific proof for. You know that. And we've matched it up with everything in the Bible, and we've matched it up with all of the documents from thousands of years ago. And we looked at this and we said, this is very logical. We've looked at scientific magazines. We looked at Newsweek, all of these things. And if I was looking for confirmation from the intelligence that 4555 is correct, here is where I was in Brick Township for 22 years, sitting right there at 4555. I mean, the tower is not 4555. The latitude, the coordinate of the location is 4555. Last Sunday, as you and I look at all of these things, and we're seeing these things that Hubble is showing us, we're seeing all, the supernova and the discovery of new solar systems and galaxies. And I told you, suggested to you that what's happening is that the scientists today are just leading you very gently, step by step, simply, very easily, to prepare you for the introduction of the contact, which will take place in just a couple of years. In other words, when they finally tell you there are people living such and such a place, you'll be prepared for it. You won't be in shock. Because if they were to say now, these people are coming, what the governments of the world would do would start directing their missiles and so forth. Last Sunday I was in, we were having dinner and I was sitting across from Al Bianchi. And Al looked at me last week and he said, you do realize that these things are not there, that they're gone, that it's all over. And I sat with him and I looked at him. It was a very profound statement. Supernova 1987A, the star exploded in 1987. No, it didn't.
We saw it in 1987.
We saw it in 1987. The light reached us in 1987. But what it opened to me, was, wait a minute here. This is beginning now to explain everything. What we are seeing now, people who lived on another planet here saw it thousands of years ago. And they were then in a position to tell us what to expect. And so they could write in great codes, this is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen when the light reaches your planet. How do you know? Because the light has already reached ours. And now the interesting part is that we have seen it, and there are people who are living on another planet away from us who will see it for maybe another 1,000 years or 2,000 years. But it's the same light that's traveling. I read in Newsweek, scientists say now that what they are seeing now, they are able to get back as far as 96 million years after the, quote, Big Bang. They are, this is a time machine. You're looking back at time. You're looking back at things that happened thousands of years ago. So if a just think, for instance, say you lived on a planet which had gone through June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February. And these people here lived on a planet that had only gone through May, June, and July. You're now able to tell them about the coming snows. They've never heard of snow. They've never seen snow. They don't know what are you talking about? Cold. It can't be. It's warm. That's ridiculous. But you've experienced it. So all of these things that we call prophecies are not prophecies at all. They're simply people who have seen this light thousands of years before we did and are telling us what to expect. Isn't that amazing that if you think the creation, all based on this, is here are planets with people living on them, And so the impetus comes out of these great things which are going to cause various types of changes in life and existence, and they go out from here and they hit here and they change. And then they go on to here and then on to here and so forth. And the evolution of each group is brought along by this light. It's all light, it's all magnetism, it's all radiation. And here you are at a point where the supernova, which is this, the supernova will be ignited between now and 2002. And not only do you have the documentation of it, you have the scientific proof of it. This isn't something to think about, maybe this is going to happen. This, you can take this to the bank, this is going to happen. So, you know, when Al brought that idea of it, you know, I'm still thinking about it, but it opens up to me a whole new idea, a whole new concept of what we're talking about here. I may be showing you, you know, when we look at this supernova, you're looking back in time at something that's 166,000 years ago. What the heck is that? Take some water, man. What the heck is that? So it's our turn to see these things. But most people are walking along, going about their business, and they're not looking at them. Do you know what that's like? That's like people in some Midwestern town or Alabama, and the Weather Bureau comes out and says, there's a tornado coming. And you say, oh, well, I don't have time for that. I have to get to work. I don't have time to pay attention to that because, you know, I'm going out to Walmart. And then all of a sudden, Walmart's gone. Why? Because we didn't pay. Now the very same scientists are telling you, and if you look on page 90, excuse me for this, if you look on page 91 of this stuff, you'll see it. They're telling you the hammer is about to hit the bell. A celestial ring of fire.
You have to put this in your mouth.
Oh, God. Its light should intensify. I'm going to spit this out. What is this, root beer? What is it? Because she comes up with these funky things that I don't know what they are. We are beginning to see the signature of the collision, the hammer hitting the bell. This is something we can see happening in our life. So the scientists are telling everybody, most people haven't a clue that this is about to happen to them. Now, what have we done? Using the book of Daniel, we have connected, we have connected the furnace, haven't we? Of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. With what? The fornix of the brain and the fornax in the sky, the constellation. We've connected those. We use the book of Daniel to do that. In the brain, the fornix is connected by stria pinealis, which is a straight line, to the pineal gland of the brain, in your head. In the book of Daniel, the second part after the furnace story has Daniel going into the lion's den. What's interesting about that is Leo is the symbol connected with the pineal. So just as we have a straight line from the pineal to the fornix, which is the single eye to the furnace, now we also have placed in the Bible the story from the pineal to the furnace, from lion to furnace. In other words, what I'm trying to say to you is that the story of Daniel and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego is the story of the fornix and the pineal gland of the brain. which is extremely important now. Extremely important now because it's bringing us the story of Supernova 1987A. Now, one of the things that happens is people would say, well, you know, what do you say is going to happen in 2 years? Did you get a new job? You're going to sell your house? You're going to get a new mortgage? Go ahead. What are you nothing you can do about this anyhow. But what changes are going to, this is going to be a difficult time. One of the reasons it's going to be a difficult time, I don't know, I get a lot of this stuff, but here's like, a bank run like no other will bankrupt banks all over the world in 1999 because of the change in the computers that's going to happen in 2000. Be a very difficult time. Very difficult time. Well, a lot of things are going to change. Not because there's any God somewhere that's doing anything. It's just a natural phenomenon. It's like somebody saying there's a tornado coming. One of the things that we should look at more and more at this time of great financial crisis, the collapse of the computer systems, but it's also curious to me that one of the things that's going to be changed by the computers when it hits 2000 is an extreme chaotic event in the World Wide Web. But don't just leave that in the machine. Remember that in your brain, your outer covering is called dura mater. Your innermost sensitive part is called pia mater. And these two are separated by something in your brain called arachnoid, which is the web. And everybody in the world has a web. It is a worldwide web. And just as the World Wide Web of plastic and metal computers is going to be disrupted, so is the World Wide Web in your head. Is this all coincidence that you have the same thing in your head that the computers have? Is it all a coincidence that the memory part of your brain has AMON, which is RAM, and the memory part of the computer? Is it all a coincidence? I don't think so. But what can I do? Other than tell people. And most people can't look at this because it's not Catholic. Or some people can't look at it because it's not Protestant. It's not Islam. It's, you know, what is it? So we walk out of all of these things, thank God, thank God. And we say, I'm not a Catholic, I'm not a Christian, I'm not a Buddhist, I'm not Islam, I'm not a Hindu. I don't believe in any of that stuff. What are you? I'm a person. I'm a human being. So now I can listen to anything. So how do you survive what's coming down upon the earth? What are you going to do? Where are you going to go? Did you ever think of that? What are you going to do? You're going to move? Where are you going to move to? Vulcan? Where are you going to go? Do you have any idea what to do?
I'm going to expect it's going to be beneficial.
That's not the point. That's not the point. Point is, it's going to impact and cause change. Making a difference how beneficial it is. Something's going to happen. What are you going to do about it? Stay with me for a minute. How are you going to deal with this? Okay? Most people don't know. Most of your friends are not going to be able to deal with it. Most of your family are not going to be able to deal with it. In 2 years, I'm talking about. A lot of trouble. Because of the fact that they're not prepared. They haven't a clue what to do. And so then you're going to see the chaos. You're just seeing kids coming in with guns, just starting to shoot now. You ain't seen anything yet. Why are they doing this? What's all this happening? People say, oh, it's because they don't have prayer in school. The first 8 of them got shot while they were in a prayer circle in Kentucky. It has nothing to do with that. All of the violence and all of the upheaval and all of the things that you're seeing are all part of this. The light is starting to impact the earth, and it's starting to trigger gates in the brains of people, and it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Your family's looking for security, yet they haven't a clue as to what's coming down upon them. Not prophesied by any preacher, not prophesied by any New Age, no religion, no priest, prophesied by scientists who are saying this is coming. Something is going to happen. We've never seen anything like this before. The light is going to flood the earth between now and 2002. What are you going to do? Well, in Daniel 12:1, we see the statement about a time of trouble, which is magnetic chaos, which is coming upon the earth. It's a time of great change from what were quote-unquote traditional values to a whole new way of existence. It can be a time of great confusion and a time of great fear. And you know, he says, I think it's what's coming down upon the earth is going to be good. Well, what's good for some is not necessarily good for somebody else. If we end all of this competition, all of this banks beating up on people, oppressing poor people, and taking people's homes away and all, that's good, but it's not good for the banks. There's a lot of people on Wall Street that may not think this is going to be a good idea. And it's going to directly impact you and your family. It's going to directly impact your finances. It's going to directly impact your house. It's going to directly impact your job. What are you going to do about it? In Daniel 12:1, it talks about this new way of existence as a time of great confusion. But it says there will be people who understand and are delivered out of this because their name is found written in the book. That's the key. This points out the tremendous importance of each one of you continuing in your meditation. And if you're not meditating, you should begin. What is the book? The book referred to here would seem to be that which we have always considered as the book of life. Is your name written in the book of life? What do you do? Let's look at the book of life. If I had a Bible, I would look at the book. Where the heck did I do it now? Al, would you look in the briefcase? I think that maybe the nurse took my Bible. Oh. Revelation chapter 12, Revelation chapter 5 on page 1005. In Revelation chapter 5, it describes the book of life. It says in Daniel that in order to avoid this magnetic chaos, your name's got to be written in the book of life. And in Revelation chapter 5, it says, and I saw in the right hand, and that's referring to the right hemisphere of the brain, of him who sat on the throne, which is referring to that higher mind, a book. This is the book of life. And where does it say the book is written? It says the book is written within, which is within you, and on the back side, which is your spine, sealed with 7 seals. That's the book of life. And in Daniel, it says specifically that to avoid this time of chaos. Now, what's so important about this? You say, well, Daniel, who the heck cares? This is an old story in the Old Testament. What do I care about that? Why is Daniel so important? Because what we have connected with Daniel is the furnace, which is the constellation Fornax, the lion, which is the pineal, which is supernova 1987A. If we're right, and if the lion is supernova 1987A, and if the furnace is the Fornax, then what's going to happen is between now and 2000, as supernova goes on fire, according to the scientists, it's going to send a direct line to the furnace, which is going to light the furnace, which is going to then bring forth what we call the fourth man. So when we say, okay, we've got astronomical evidence that what's in this part of the Bible is being fulfilled. We know it's all silly because you can't sit in with lions and not get eaten. You can't sit in a furnace and not get burnt. So we know it's a myth. So now we take this and say, okay, we've documented this scientifically, astronomically, and now we're looking at, it also refers to the book of life. So then it would be important for us, if we want to survive the light from supernova 1987A and the Fornax, to be in compliance with this, which is meditation and the energy rising up the 7 chakras of the 7 seals. And I didn't read this Kundalini event in a Hindu book. I read it in the Bible. If supernova 1987A is the single eye or the pineal gland in the universe, then from there, and the fornax connection, would come the unleashing of what we have always talked of is the 7 seals. This is why I fear for your friends. This is why I fear for your children. This is why I fear for your family, because we have what is appearing to be scientific evidence, astronomical evidence, is that the 7 seals are about to be unleashed upon the earth. And I'm not looking at this from a religious standpoint. I'm not into religion. I'm not looking at this from a New Age standpoint. I'm not into New Age. I do not get into crystals, feathers, smokes, and mirrors and all that stuff. And I don't knock anybody that does. You do whatever you want to do. That's none of my business. That's not what my job here is. My job is to scientifically document what I can find and associate it with the Bible and say, do you think it makes sense? So far, I think it has. And then remember that I'm the guy who was handed a Federal Aviation Administration document that says I've been sitting on 4555 for 22 years. Is that a coincidence? Don't you think we should think about this? What does it take? What am I asking you, for money? No. Do you have to go anywhere? Do you have to join anything? No. I could care less where you go. But you have to get into this. I don't go to your bathroom. You don't have to come here. Turn the light out, go in the bathroom, do whatever you want to do. It's none of my business. I don't chase you around, I don't call you on the phone, I don't ask you anything. You go when you want, you come when you want, you do what you want. It's none of my business. It has to be that way. I don't socialize, I don't associate, stay by myself. I have to. And so I'm concerned. And I'm concerned because a lot of people are not taking this seriously because they don't know this is going on. Newsweek is taking it seriously. National Geographic took it seriously. It's all over the internet. They're taking it seriously. A lot of people here, these people walking down the street, they have no idea. I'll tell you something. People in your house have no idea. No idea. If I was to say to you, there's a tornado coming to Forked River, what would you do? You know, you would be digging a hole. Heading for the, you know, hey, let's go to bomb shelter, do something. You take it seriously. This happens to be up in the sky. Same thing. It's a tornado in the sky. So what? What does he know? That's why I give you documentation, because I don't know anything. But they do know. And they've told you this, and it just happens to coincidentally match up with everything you've ever read in the Bible or have ever gone to church about. So now what's that? We're looking at the supernova, 1987A, as the single eye in the sky, which, if it's the pineal, is the domicile of the sun, Leo, the lion. So, and remember now, the prophecy, what you're looking in the book of Revelation, is not by some guy sitting on an island somewhere like religion has taught you. It has nothing to do. It's exactly as Albert enlightened me to last week. It is somebody who has already experienced the light of supernova 1987A and is now telling you, hey, this is what's going to happen. It's no different than the guy saying, this is the Weather Bureau from Russia. We're having a tornado moving. Same thing. It's the Weather Bureau up in the sky telling you this is what's going to happen. And so we look. So the first question that rings out to us is, contained in the Bible, on page 1005, Revelation chapter 5. If this is the time when the 7 seals are about to explode on your house, and they are, who is going to start it? Where's it going to start? How's it going to happen? Supernova 1987A, if it is the single eye, then it is Leo, it is the lion. And according to page 1005 of the Bible, in the book of Revelation, in Revelation chapter 5 and verse 2, and I saw a strong angel proclaim, who is worthy to open the book and to loose the seals? Not only in the sky, inside of your body. And in verse 3, no man under the earth or on the earth was able to open the book. And I wept. In verse 5 it says, behold, the lion, the tribe of Judah, hath prevailed to open the book and loose the seals. Where are the seals going to be loosed? By the lion. Who's the lion? The pineal. Who's the pineal in the sky? Supernova 1987A. It's right there, and you can see it now. And if you want a color picture of it, thanks to Penny, there it is. The Bible says it's going to loose the seal. Oh, so what? It's a Bible. Him and I got thrown out of better churches than that. We don't have to pay attention to this stuff. And I don't. If the Bible said it, I say, you know, it's good. But you know what? I looked at page 99. And I saw that the Hubble Space Telescope news from National Aeronautic and Space Administration says the debris is expected to collide with the inner ring, fourth paragraph, as early as the year 2002, and this will light up all of the dark nebulosity surrounding the supernova. And then in the first paragraph in the last three, the gas is expected to soon glow at thousands of degrees, causing a final burst of light that will be visible on the Earth in 2005. Of course, this one. Who said that? The prophet? You don't believe this guy either? If you don't believe me, you know, that's a taken. If you don't believe the prophets, you don't believe the Bible, I agree with you. I'm talking about the Hubble Space Telescope news. Space Telescope Science Institute of National Aeronautics and Space Administration said this is going to happen between now and 2002. Don't you think you should tell somebody at your house? Look what's coming. Isn't that as good as the tornado? But the interesting point is that according to them, Hubble, Space, National Aeronautics and Space Administration, it's going to come from the eye. Uh-oh. Who's the eye? Supernova 1987A. Leo, the lion. Who's the Bible say it's going to come from? The lion is going to unleash the seals, the 7 seals. You may be at a casino, playing the slots. All of a sudden, they'll all start coming up 7 because the computers will be all funky. Donald will be running all over that place. So, the Lion of Judah, the lion, identifies the force capable of opening the 7 seals. Do you remember? Let me just do this little exercise real quick because a couple of folks haven't been here before. But let me just share something interesting. When you look to see how connected you are to this universe, watch this. You take a breath, and you exhale, normal breath. 4 seconds. That is a measure, a Hindu measure, called prana. 4 seconds. No problem? Well, in a day, every day, there are 86,400 seconds. If your breath takes 4 seconds, that means you breathe 21,600 times a day. Okay? Watch me closely. I'm going to show you something. You can only see 10% of the universe. If you take this 10% and say, how is the Earth and how are you connected? 86,400 seconds in a day. The diameter of the sun is 864,000 miles. 21,600 times a day you breathe. The diameter of the moon is 2,160. Right. The number of years that the sun stays in any astrological sign is 2,160. The distance between the Earth and the Moon is 216,000 miles. And the constant speed of light is 186,400 miles a second. That's what's coming. Do you see the connection? And it's all connected to your breath. That's why it says, and Jesus breathed on them and they received the Holy Spirit. It's life. Everything is connected. Everything multiplies out. It's exact. I was talking to Charles, I says, something funny here. I was looking in Revelation, it talks about the woman going out into the desert, and she had to remain out in the desert for 1,260 years. That's the way they played with us, Albert. Pull the chain. Everything is, pushed here, pushed here. Got to look for it. So, when we look at this light come, look at this 864. You see that? And the lion, supernova 1987-8. Open the Bible to page 115. And on page 115, look at Numbers chapter 2. And in Numbers chapter 2, verse 9, it talks about the tribe of Judah, which is the tribe of the lion. The tribe of Judah is the tribe of the lion. It is the tribe of light. And look at how many people are in that gang over there. Numbers chapter 2 and verse 9. All that were numbered in the camp of Judah were 100,000. Okay. 80,000. 4 scores 4 times 20. That's 80,000. And 6,000. 186,000. And 400. Whoa! Wait a minute. I think we've got something here. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. And this light is the light that is coming from supernova. Actually, when we will see, that is going to bathe the Earth between now and 2002, according to the, astronomers. So, you know what I'm telling you? Everything you've ever read, forget it. Every book you've ever read, forget it. You know why? Because those people never knew about this. Every book that you ever read about the moon, forget it. Do you imagine how many volumes, how many encyclopedias have been written about the moon? And they're all wrong. Because 2 weeks ago they found a lake up there. Right. What do we do now? Do you imagine that every book that's ever been written about the moon says there's nothing up there but rock? Forget it. They're wrong. Do you know what that means? Everything that's ever been written about anything is wrong. So why are you reading it? You know what you have to do? You have to react to today and tomorrow. All these things, they're all happening. Hey, find me a book, find me an encyclopedia anywhere that'll talk about, it's not in it. They didn't know about this. Go into church. I want you to go. I want you after, as an assignment, go up to the different churches and walk in and say, Father, here, did you know this? Please. The reason that you might get in trouble, do you remember a guy named Galileo? You remember Nicky Copernicus? And Joe Bruno, he was the worst of all. Nicky Copernicus said, all right, don't get upset. Father, don't get upset. And Galileo said, listen, I'm taking a joke, don't worry about it. Bruno said, you're verkakte. They burned him to the stake. Bruno wouldn't change. Copernicus backed out. Galileo sat in jail. Bruno said, you're all screwed up. And so here, you go to meetings, don't you? You go to New Age meetings. Do they know about this? They don't know. They going to tell them? You can put rocks on your head, you can put smoke in your ears and all that stuff. What about this? This changes, this makes everything so significant that it just washes everything away you've ever learned. Because it's never happened before. But here is now this power that is supernova 1987A about to unleash the 7 seals on your head. And Daniel saying, be written in the book. And the book is flowing in meditation. What is that going to do? What meditation is going to do, it's going to place you in with the photons which are coming down, it is going to place you into a harmony. You're going to get like a laser. You're going to align yourself in a, what's the word I'm looking for? The polarization is going to be hecked up by the exercise of your meditation. And don't tell me what I'm talking about, because this is exactly what happened in December 1997 when they teleported photons in Innsbruck, Austria. It's exactly what happened. So I do know what I'm talking about. It's not something that I'm saying, well, this sounds like a good theory. Forget the theory. I can't do it. I'm saying this happened. When the light was polarized, it allowed the teleportation of one to the other. This is what you've got to do. Forget meditation. You're talking about polarization. You're talking about getting your light polar. You're talking about adjusting the lens in that pineal so that the light gets through and you get down this harmony. And you'll be saved out of all of this and out of all the confusion and all of the chaos that's going to come down. But you got to do it. I know there are people that come here that don't like me. I can't see how that's possible, but no, they do that. That's fine. And that's the problem with it. Because people have personalities, and my personality turns some people off. I understand that, but that's not my problem. My problem is the greater thing of them and their families have at least got to know about this. How do I tell them? How do I tell them? I don't know. I don't know what else to do. The next thing, I'll let you out of here in 2 minutes, I promise you that. The next thing we talk about the 7 seals is on page 1005 in Revelation 5:6. This is the last thing we'll do. I know, I feel, I don't know. Revelation 5:6. Revelation 5:6 says, and I behold, in the midst of the throne of the 4 beasts, in the midst of the elders stood a lamb as it had been slain, having 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits, so forth and so on and so on. The 7s are the 7 chakras. 7 seals. And the horns are power. 7 horns are power. 7 eyes are awareness. 7 spirits are connection to cosmic light. Thus we read of this power, this enlightenment, this awareness. But how am I going to get that to you if you won't pay any attention? How am I going to make you understand this stuff? The hell with me. Don't pay any attention to me, but I'm trying to get you to listen to the scientists. I'm trying to get you to listen to the astronomers. I'm trying to say, stop listening to fundamentalists. Stop listening to New Age people and mature yourself to listen to the science and listen to the heartbeat and listen to the breath of the universe. It's too serious now to fool with this other stuff. Much too serious. And yet you do whatever you want anyhow. It's none of my business. I don't even know where you go. I don't even know where any of you live. It's none of my, I could care less. It's not, I don't care. But I do care that you survive this. And I do care that you understand. You do not have to come here to meditate. It's practically better if you don't, because there's fewer people here. It makes it nicer. Well, that's no reflection on you, because I'm just saying this out to the sky.
Thanks for the invite.
No, because, sometimes you get a lot of people in here, and then some people fall asleep and snore. Or, there's a million different things, and I can understand it. So, but you can do it in your bathroom. I've got to come here because it's important for me, because the people that do come here set up a vibration, set up a light, set up a transference, and that's what I need. But all I'm asking you to do is duck in the bathroom, shut the light off, hold your breath for 10 or 15 seconds, and start exercising this pineal and get both. I don't want anything to throw you into chaos at that time. And you don't have to have it happen, and it won't happen. But you just have to start saying to yourself, hey, no, this is out of the realm of religion. This is out of the realm of New Age. This is a scientific fact. Now, what are we going to do about it? And you've come here all this time, and every week I've placed into your hands documented evidence and proof of what's going on here. And if it's been well documented by people from, you know, NASA and so forth and so on. So I'm just asking you to take this seriously. Well, I think it's about time you told your family. And they're going to tell you, oh, that's a lot of baloney. But if you've got the documentation, say, well, you just look at this. Well, that guy down there, forget that guy down there. Look at the NASA, National Aeronautics and Space Administration. They're the ones that are saying this. And so, as we go on, and we're going to look deeper into this Revelation story, and then it'll explode open to you. And as we wait and see more developments that come in weekly from NASA and from the scientists, there's just been something in the paper today about a great discovery that was made by George Gatewood down in Baltimore, Maryland. And George Gatewood is the guy who found the seventh planet in the seal, which was Lalande something Leo. And he has just discovered something, another solar thing. You know. And I will stick to the promise. And you know this, and I've never told you anything. I've never told you anything that I didn't prove to you. And this one I can't prove, but I promised you that come here, one day the door, somebody will walk through that door. Might be him. Somebody will walk through that door, and they'll be from 45, 55. And now, isn't that hard to take? You say, oh, this guy's really nuts. But you know that everything I've ever told you here has shown up and been true. You know that. You know that. And everything that you've come here. I mean, how many of you go to Edgar Cayce or ever visit Edgar Cayce, ARA? Great. They were 1 year behind us in finding supernova 1987A. Did you know that? Now, I'm not in any competition with them or anything like that. But it's true. It showed up in their manuals a year after we did it. Yes?
Now, if you meditate without the documentation.
Come on, because study come here.
Okay, if you meditate but have no documentation, then is the chaos going to hit you or what?
Certainly.
Okay.
No, I don't know. You see, what we're talking about is if you don't have the documentation, you're meditating, what are you going to meditate? Why would you do it? I mean, and the point is, most people will go and they'll go to get instructions on how to meditate, which will totally screw you up. You should go to get instructions on how to meditate if you're going to meditate for your health, or if you want to meditate for peace of mind, you want to take the pressure off, you want to look at flowers, you want to listen to birds chirping and all of that kind of stuff. That's good to do. It's wonderful to do that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about making contact. And there is nobody on the face of this earth can tell you how to do that, because nobody ever has. Nobody on this side, okay? Why? Because you have to find that yourself. You go into your bathroom, you go in wherever you are, you turn the lights off, and you and quote-unquote God. This is a one-on-one deal. Because somebody's going to tell you, no, this is the way you meditate. That's fine for the other time. But for this contact, it has to be you that has to be found by God. You have to be found by the universe. The polarity has to be changed between you and the universe. It's the only way this will work. So it's up to you, by yourself, totally alone, not with anybody else. And it'll come to you. Remember, when they did that polarization, teleportation in Innsbruck, Austria on December 11th, Dr. Zalinger said, it happened, but I don't know how it happened. Don't ask me, but it happened. And what else did he say? This photon that went 3 feet, he said, you could teleport from one end of the galaxy to the other, like that. That's how these people will come here. That's how they already have come here. And that's how they return. Forget spaceships. It's too slow. Yes, sir.
Joan has just put the same thing. Teleportation. When you say meditation, go out of your mind and body. Who called it? You don't think. You don't know.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So you may be in different place, a different time, and you don't know.
We've done that.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. I think what makes it here is you have been called at this particular time in the evolution to understand these things. You're understanding how these things work. And that makes it possible for you to really take part in this. Those who do not understand these things are going to be of very little value to the people who come here. Those of you who do understand and are working at this are going to be of great value and really be a part in turning this thing around. Okay, let me make one final statement here, and then we're done. Remember something when we're talking about all of this. The gentleman said in the second row, this is from God. This is good. This is not bad. This is nothing to be afraid of. What you have to be afraid of is what goes out in the street. That's what you have to be afraid of. You have to be afraid of people with guns. You have to be afraid of people who rape and drop bombs and oppress people and cause people to starve and bring separation down of people and discriminate against people and try to keep women in their place. And all of these, those are the things you have to be afraid of. You don't have to be afraid of this wonder that's coming. You just have to be aware of it and start to rechain and start to retool your meditation process so that you get into harmony with it, and then you flow in the beauty of it. Don't be afraid of it. It's not a bad thing at all. It's a wonderful, 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 wonderful thing. It is the second coming of Christ. And as the scientists have said, it's at your door. Okay, thanks. See ya. Bye-bye. Welcome back. How many, well, I'm not going to ask you how many, but if you were watching CNN this week, there was a very interesting announcement. It was on May the 7th of this week, May 7th, 1998. And what it was about is that CNN reported that astronomers have seen the most brilliant explosion ever witnessed, second only to the Big Bang. They said it's 12 billion light years away, and it was a gamma explosion. You know, gamma goes through everything, including lead. It was spotted December the 15th, 1997, and on December the 16th, it was gone. And they mentioned it was in a galaxy, but they didn't say which galaxy, so that's something we'll have to work on to try to find out, you know, where that was. But what I found so remarkable is that they said this light was equal to the light of 1 billion Milky Way galaxies. I mean, the Milky Way galaxy, you know, is, you know, it's bright and it's, well, you can't even conceive of it. This explosion was equal to the light of 1 billion Milky Way galaxies. And you say, what was it? What was its purpose? What will be the eventual result, and so forth? So it's just each week we seem to be provided by science with a new activity of what's going on in the universe. And these are activities which have occurred millions of years ago. Even like supernova that we're looking at now, and say, well, they call it supernova 1987A because it exploded in 1987. Well, it didn't. That's when the light reached us, was in 1987. Exploded hundreds of thousands, millions of years ago. So, you know, it's really, really interesting. But what we're being privy to is, like scientists have said, we've gotten within 96 million years of seeing the Big Bang. Do you realize what that means? They are 96, in other words, as light is coming towards us, and we're able to put like Hubbles and looking out that way, we're getting close to where we're seeing things. I mean, I was telling Mike, the next picture will probably have God lighting a fuse, you know. You know, what is this? Yes. What is that? Oh, is that what I'm talking about? Excuse me. Here. Hi. Astronomers astounded by enormous explosion in deep space, as bright as the entire universe. Mystified by the most powerful explosion ever witnessed, an enormous burst of gamma-ray energy 12 billion light years from Earth that in 1 second released almost as much energy as all the stars in the universe. This is amazing stuff. But you know what's so good? You know, all the books in the world that have ever been written, all of the New Age, all of the religious, never mentioned anything like this. Because all of these things we're seeing now. It's like a tidal wave, you know. It's like a tidal wave that's out in the middle of the Pacific. And it finally reaches the shore and it crashes onto the shore. And that's what's happening. These things are like tidal waves deep into the most, God knows where in space, and they're finally reaching our shores. It says here, the power released is almost unimaginable. The energy was equal to about 5 billion supernovas, the explosion of dying stars. The gamma ray burst energy was equal to about 1,000. By some calculations, equal as much energy in 1 second as all of the 10 billion trillion stars in the universe combined. So, you know, this is what we're talking about. So, you know, and we've got people going around looking for security. Isn't that something? I mean, we know nothing about the awesome thing here we've got, but we've made such progress here talking amongst ourselves, because what we have finally been able to put together are correlations between ourselves and the universe. Like one of the things that I don't know, and I won't, the rest of you who have sat through this before, but one of the interesting things that when you start looking for connections between us and the universe is the fact that, first time using the big board, is the fact that there are 86,400 seconds in a day. 86,400 seconds in a day. The average breath in the Hindu measure, and this is pretty true if you go to measure your breath, is 4 seconds. So if you exhale or inhale and exhale, runs about 4 seconds. Gary Toller of Goddard Space Labs says that we can actually see but 10% of the universe. 90% of it is hidden. So if we apply that 10% universe factor to this, 86,400 seconds in a day. And if each breath is 4 seconds, you divide that 4 seconds into 86,000, which means average. Now, this doesn't, but the average number of breaths would be 21,600 times you breathe each day. Now, what's interesting about that as you start connecting it is you realize that the sun has a diameter of 860,000 miles. And the moon has a diameter of 2,160 miles. So the sun is connected to the number of seconds in a day. The moon is connected to the number of times you breathe. And the distance between the Earth and the moon is 216,000 miles. And the time that the sun spends in a zodiacal sign is 2,160 years. And the constant speed of light is 186,400 miles per second. So there's a connection. There's a connection that you can't change. I mean, this is a fact. This is the way it is. Why is, I mean, it's like, what the coordination? Why is this 86,400 coordinated as 10% of this? And why is this 21,600 coordinated here, 10% of that? I mean, there is a connection, which means that right down to your breath multiplies out to a harmony with the sun, the moon, the zodiacal precession of the equinoxes, and all of these things. So, it makes you stop and think, gosh, really everything that, if there's a connection between us and the Earth, and the harmony with the sun and the moon and all of these things, then there's a connection with everything else, including this thing which just exploded. I mean, there's a harmony with everything. Everything is in perfect order. And so we watch these things and we listen to them and we watch what the scientists say as we await the wonders predicted by science to arrive at the planet Earth between now and 2002. And of course what they're saying, boy, it's hard to erase because it's the first time. Yeah. What kind of board is this? I guess, wait, do I have to spray something on this or something? Huh? Gosh. Uh-oh. I even got the wrong stuff. But anyhow, what the point that I was making is what we've done, and I asked Rich Doppler because he came up with some stuff, but what we have done is we've shown a connection between supernova 1987A and us and the Bible, or ancient writings. We've made a connection there. And what was interesting was over the last several weeks, we've been able to connect to that the galaxy 4555. Yes?